Welcome to Mishnah study Masechet Shabbat Perek Bet Mishnah Zayin. Rambam actually has this as a continuation of Mishnah Vav, and it's the last Mishnah of this Perek. What can be done during Twilight? Twilight is Ben Hashmashot. We'll mention exactly what this is in a moment. But before we get to that, we're going to speak about three things that a person needs to be careful of in his house. What are they? Three things a person needs to say in his home, right? Erev Shabbat, right? Friday, close to Shabbat rolling in, near close to sunset. Isarten, Irabten, Haliku Tanir, right? Where you ma'aser, right? Did you separate all your ma'asrot, right? We know it's important to separate ma'asrot because Shabbat, kova'ad ma'aser. If Shabbat rolls in, anything that wasn't separated becomes tevel, right? You can't eat from it. Right, even achilat, even a temporary eating. So you need to go ahead and separate Tirumot Ma'asrot before Shabbat rolls in. And you're not allowed to separate on Shabbat. Eight of 10, did you separate? Did you set your eruv? Right. When it comes to the eruv over here, you need to separate. Any type of eruv that you need to before Shabbat. Over here, Bartuna explains it as eruv tehumin and hatzerot. Right, that you need to separate eruv tehumin if you want to travel further, eruv hatzirot, so you could carry from your house to your neighbor's house, right? And the last one is hadliku etanir. Hadliku etanir, you're not asking, right? Because you still have little time, so you're saying no, actually, light the candles, right? Right before Shabbat, light the candles. Now, safek hashicha, safek lo hashicha. Now, this in between time, twilight zone, right? This is after sunset up until you see 3 medium-sized stars, right, that are shining at their, full strength, right? So that time frame between sunset and 3 stars out, right? This is called Ben Hashemashot, right? And this is what the Mishnah calls Safek Hashicha, Safek Lo Hashicha, right? It's Safek whether it's dark, it's night, Safek whether it's not. So what are we allowed to do? What are we not allowed to do during this period? So we're not allowed to separate something that's for sure tevel. Something that's for sure tevel, you didn't separate Tirumot Ma'asrot from, you're not allowed to separate, because Hamim didn't allow you to separate during this time. Ve'en matbilin et hakilim. Right, by the way, we'll see Demai is going to be different. Right, we'll see that in the end of the Mishnah. Ve'en matbilin et hakilim. Now go ahead and dip your kilim. Right, when it comes to you want to go ahead and dip your kilim to make them to actually be able to dip them in the so you can use them now. No, you're not allowed to do so, right during this twilight zone, because again, you're fixing something, right? You're fixing something, and you're not allowed to do so on Shabbat. And Chachamim say you're not allowed to do Ben Hashmashot either. Ve'en madlikin tanirot, right? This is the Doraita. You can't light a fire on Shabbat. So during this Safek time, you're also not allowed to go ahead and light a fire, right? Even if it's hadlakat tinot. Once sunset rolls in, right? A person forgot. No, they cannot light their candles after sunset. Aval, what can you do during this Ben Hashmashot time, during this twilight time? When it comes to demai, right? Demai is something that we're not sure. It's from Nama Aretz. We're not sure if the Tirumot Ma'asrot was separated from it or not. So it's a safek. Achamim didn't make their gezerah on separating demai Ben Hashmashot. You're allowed to go ahead and separate Tirumot Ma'asrot from demai. Me'arevin, you are allowed to be me'arev. What are you allowed? What eruv are you allowed to do over here? Eruv hatzerot, right? Eruv hatzerot. That's what you're allowed to perform Ben Hashmashot. But eruv tehumin, right? When you want to extend the 2,000 amah border outside your city, so you could travel a little further, that you have to do from before sunset because it has more hamur dinim, more hamur laws that we'll discuss later on. And the last thing you're allowed to do is tomnin tahamim. You're allowed to be tomen, literally, cover, or maybe a better word is to insulate the hamin, right? And if you had these, hamin, could be water or food, you're allowed to go ahead and insulate them. Ben Hashemashot. It's interesting. Harambam over here, we'll see from later on, says you're even allowed to do it with something that's mosif haval. Right? Even during Ben Hashemashot time specifically, you're allowed to even insulate in something that's going to add more heat, which is not even allowed, right? But from the Friday daytime. But Ben Hashemashot is even extra kula. It's not just you're allowed to be tomen. Over here during this twilight zone, twilight period, you're allowed to even be tomen in something that's going to add heat. And we'll see more about this in the next.